This series of videos is called the Valheim Progression Guide. It's where I teach you everything you need to know about this game that I've been playing nonstop since I found it. In episode 1, I'm going to be covering everything you need to know about the early game up until beating the first boss. Now obviously, every playthrough is going to be different, but me and my friends tried to speed through the game as fast as possible because we wanted to quench our thirst for adventure. So if you're lost about what to do next in the game, struggling with a boss, or just simply want to know what the game's all about, hit that subscribe button and let me know what I missed, what I should cover next. All the footage was shot over on my Twitch channel over at twitch.tv/DanCorona, so check it out. I'd appreciate it a lot and enjoy the video. So the first thing you see in Valheim is text explaining that you're a warrior that was brought back to life by Odin in order to defeat his enemies in Viking Purgatory that are growing stronger. These are the bosses in the game. After the big crow drops you down at the spawn, you are greeted by a crow. This is your tutorial bird, and he will help explain some things to you. You will also see 5 stones with drawings of creatures on them. These are the bosses that you will fight eventually, but for now hit E on the glowing stone to mark the first boss location on your map. But before worrying about the first boss, there are a couple things you need to do before fighting your first boss, Eikthyr. You only start with a rag tunic and a torch, so walk around the land to try to find these stones and branches so you can craft your basic tools. The tools are the club, which is your weapon, the axe, which helps you gather more wood, and the hammer, which helps you build stuff. The first thing I would recommend you do once you have your tools is find a location to set up a base. I like to build near a body of water close to the spawn point. This is because you need to return to the spawn periodically throughout the game, so it's not a bad idea to remain close. Also, we build near a body of water because necks spawn near water, and necktails are a great source of food for the early game. Also, build in an open field in a meadow biome. The reason for this is because the meadows are the least dangerous biome. In our playthrough, our home is on the edge of a black forest and a meadows biome, so we are constantly being annoyed by grey dwarfs and trolls who drift outside their spawn biome and attack us. Once you have found a spot, gather enough wood for a workbench. A workbench is needed to build your structure, so as a start, by holding right click with your hammer in your hand, you can place down a workbench. Once you have the workbench, go ahead and put 4 walls behind it and 2 roofs overhanging the bench. This will allow you to repair your items. Unlike games like Minecraft, when your tools break, they disappear. In Valheim, they don't. They just stay in your inventory with a flashing red bar, and you can't use them. Instead of having to make a new one, you can take your broken tools to the workbench that has a roof over it and hit this button to repair it. Currently, repairing your tools costs no resources to do. Thank God. And you can spam this button to repair all the gear you're going to craft in the future. Alright, now that you've got your tools and a functional workbench, go ahead and build a house or a settlement. This is where Valheim lets you be creative, as building in the game is pretty functional and flexible. Just make sure, however, you support the underside of your structure, as gravity will cause things not supported to break. You can tell how much health a structure has by holding out your hammer. Green means it's supported well, and red means it's close to collapsing. If something is unsupported, it will blink from green to red as soon as you place it, and then break back down into wood. Many things will need a roof to function in Valheim, so in our playthrough, we made a big central house. From here, you can make some chests to store your things, and beds to set your spawn. The beds will need a nearby fire to keep you warm while you rest, so we ended up just placing a campfire outside the wall that our beds were against. As far as I know, your house can't burn down, so you don't have to worry about that. Consider placing a roof over the top of the campfire so you will be able to sleep while it's raining. This will cause the area under the roof to get smoked out and do damage to the player, but you're not going to go near this fire or use it anyway. Campfires also need fuel, so make sure you put some wood on the fire to keep it burning. It is beneficial to sleep through the night and through rainstorms because the cold and wet status effects slow your regeneration of your stamina. So now that you've set up a home base, it's time to start suiting up to fight Eikthyr. First, let's talk about food. The food you eat in Valheim all have different stats that increase your max HP and stamina. If we look at the UI in the bottom left, we see a health bar and an empty bar with a fork next to it, and also these 3 empty boxes. You need to fill these 3 empty boxes with a food in order to acquire the HP and stamina stat increases. However, you can only eat 1 of the same food at a time, so you need to eat 3 unique foods at a time in order to best stack the increases to your HP and stamina. This is what I call food composition. You will notice that when you eat food in Valheim, your max HP and stamina will increase and start to fill up. In order to have the best food composition possible, it is important to carry 3 unique foods on you to keep eating when they run out. If you hover over a food, it tells you how much health and stamina points that food gives the player, the duration the food's effects will last, and how much HP per tick the food will heal you. It also tells you the weight of the item. Every item in Valheim has a weight to it, and you can see here that you can only hold up to 300 units of Valheim weight in your inventory. Otherwise, you will become over-encumbered and your character will walk like they are clenching their cheeks and holding back the biggest omega shit of all time. In the early game, the easiest foods to get are raspberries and red mushrooms from the bushes and on the ground. This will hold you over, but it's not enough. For Eikthyr, I would hunt an abundance of raw meat from the boars or deer and necktail. I would combine those two cooked foods with either berries or mushrooms. In order to cook the raw meat and necktail to make it edible, you can use your hammer to craft a campfire and a cooking station. Put the cooking station on top of the campfire, and from there you can hit E on the cooking station to put your raw meat over the fire. The food cooks fairly fast, so as soon as you see the food change color and you hear the second sizzle, hit E again to take it off the fire. If you leave the food on the fire for too long, it will burn and turn into coal. Okay, so now it's time to start gathering some better weapons and armor to fight Eikthyr. If you have killed the boar, you will have noticed a couple crafting recipes have been added to your workbench upon getting the leather scraps. These leather scraps are important to collect because they will help you craft a bow and a shield. Once you have the bow and the shield, you can make wooden arrows and go hunt deer much more easily with much less stealth involved. Deer will provide you with more raw meat drops as well as deer hide. You can use this deer hide to now craft some leather armor, which will provide protection against Eikthyr. You can also use the deer hide to craft a tanning rack, which should be in your hammer's menu when you hold right click. This along with the wood chopping block are known as workbench upgrades, and when placed next to the workbench will allow you to craft more things as well as upgrade your tools and armor. You can only upgrade items as far as the level that the workbench is, so getting these additions like the wood chopping block and the tanning rack are important. Upgrading your tools serves to increase the item's durability and effectiveness, so upgrading a tool gives it more damage output and upgrading armor gives it more defense. Another resource you should look into collecting is flint. Flint is located on the coasts of bodies of water, and you can use flint to craft a better axe for woodcutting as well as a good weapon like a flint spear or a flint knife. I prefer the flint knife because it uses less stamina to attack and has a very clear representation of its hitbox on enemies. So once you have full leather armor, a bow, plenty of arrows, a shield, and a weapon, you should be ready to fight Eikthyr. Before that, however, let's talk about the combat in Valheim. The combat system in Valheim is pretty good and works along a similar system to Dark Souls. Your stamina bar is the main aspect of fighting in Valheim, and you should try to keep a little bit of stamina at all times. If you hold right click with a weapon equipped, your character will block. Blocking a hit uses your stamina, and if it uses more stamina than you have to take the hit, it will take damage through the block and even get staggered. A shield can be dual wielded within the opposite hand of your weapon and is more effective at blocking damage from enemies. Stamina is used when attacking, blocking a hit, running or jumping away, and dodge rolling, so try not to use all of it in a fight. The best way to win fights in Valheim is by parrying attacks. This involves holding block with your shield just before an enemy hits you. This will stagger the enemy, and hitting the staggered enemy does critical hits. However, some enemies will be too powerful to block or parry, and dodging is more effective to use against them. So now onto the Eikthyr fight. Eikthyr with your current gear will be too powerful to parry, so stick to dodge rolling out of the direction of his attacks. Only block if it is a desperate situation and you're not able to dodge an attack. Eikthyr only has 3 attacks, which are his head attack where he swings his antlers down at you, his lightning attack which fires in a straight line out ahead of him, and his AoE attack in which he electrifies everything within a bubble around him. The most effective way to fight Eikthyr is to use your bow and arrow and continually shoot him with fully charged shots until he dies. In hand-to-hand combat, try to keep to Eikthyr's sides so he can't hit you with his head or lightning, and run away when he does his AoE attack. Eikthyr is much easier with multiple people all shooting him at the same time, and whoever has the aggro of Eikthyr kiting him around. But note that the boss's strength scales with the amount of people in the game. Upon killing Eikthyr, you will get 2 drops, the Eikthyr trophy and a hardened antler. The hardened antler can be used to make a pickaxe, which will be useful for mining ores. The trophy you can bring to spawn and hang up on the first stone with a deer image on it. This will grant you Eikthyr's ultimate ability. This ultimate ability is one of the most useful abilities in the game, as you get 60% stamina reduction on running and jumping, so it is great for exploring. The map is huge in Valheim, so you should have plenty of exploring to do. So there you have it. Now you've killed Eikthyr and have all the items you need to progress going forward. If I missed anything, please let me know, but if you enjoyed, drop a like and subscribe, and expect the Bronze Age and Boss 2 video to come soon.